Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon to all of you. It is time for some stamp collecting fun, and it is time to look at three people stamps. So I've got three stamps out there on the table, and we're going to have a little look at these stamps, and I'm also holding another stamp, which I may have a little look at after, but we'll see. With the fourth one, I'll do a bit of guessing, I think. Okay, so what have we got today? Well, I'm looking at three people who have made a big difference to American history or American society or the America as we know it today, the US of A, really. So let's have a little look which one I've decided to investigate first. Okie dokie, we have this stamp here, which is looks pretty mint. Looks a bit mint, maybe. Is it mint? No. I think it's been stuck down and it's been rescued from an album somewhere. Oliver Wendell Holmes, a 15-cent US postage stamp in the series. They did a series of famous Americans, influencers. And here's one. So who is he? Well, he's a legal eagle, really. He was born in 1841, died 1935. He was born in Boston, Massachusetts, which you could say is sort of the power base of politics and law and society in the United States of America, particularly back then. The Kennedys came from Massachusetts, that sort of area. So it was a hotbed for that sort of stuff. And this guy was famous for civil liberties and constitutional law. Sounds very, very boring, and probably is. He was known as the Great Dissenter. He called for judicial restraint, the quality of mercy, that sort of thing, and free speech. His parents were actually abolitionists. So, his mother in particular was an abolitionist, which is sort of anti-slavery. He also coined the phrase clear and present danger, which I think is the name of a film now. Not about him, but about probably nuclear weapons. But he coined that phrase. I'm not quite sure what it meant. His father was a poet, and therefore, the whole family was sort of were interested in restraint and being civilised and, not going over the top and what have you. Having said all of that, he fought in the American Civil War. He fought with the Havard Regiment. Now, Havard, I think, is the university, and there were so many from that sort of university that they had their own regiment, and he was one of them. He was wounded 3 times. So he knew how to fight and he knew how to get back on the horse. Strangely, during war, he did support restrictions on free speech. So, different times I know. So he had one sort of, I don't know is the answer. But, it showed maybe he was a balanced man. He understood common sense, common loco, which maybe not so many people do these days. They tend to have one opinion and stick to it, come hell or high water. He was married to someone called Fanny Lixwell, and they had no children, but he did adopt a cousin who had been left orphaned. He lived to a good old age, 93 years of age, died of old age as you can expect, died in 1935. So he saw really America turning, he saw a huge change in his lifetime, all the way up to 1935. It was through an influential figure that formed, you could say forged, the American legal system, or certainly opinion as we have it today. So there he is. He looks very distinguished with a good old moustache. You can't beat a moustache. Yeah, very nice stamp. So we go to the next one now, and we'll stick with war. And this is General John J. Pershing, there in his cap and his uniform, looking very distinguished. Again, a moustache is there. 8-cent stamp. This stamp was issued in 1961, possibly the same as when was this stamp issued? 68. So different set, but again distinguished USA people. So we have General John J. Pershing. And I can hear you all asking, what does the J stand for? So having read your minds, it stands for Joseph. So John Joseph Pershing is his name. He was born in 1861, known as Black Jack. Don't know why, I didn't ask. Fought in a number of wars. So, he went to, he did his training and, fought in a number of wars, the Indian Wars and Mexican War, this sort of thing. So, and he progressed up the ranks and became a general and was actually in charge of, he led the American forces in the First World War. So in 1917, when America joined the war, he was the head of the American forces. Now, he kept America under its own, there was no Allied cooperation as such. He demanded and received that he was going to, the Americans were going to fight on their own battles, and not be joined with the French or the British. And the reason for this may or may not have been, I seem to remember this, it may be that he wanted the Americans, the US soldiery, all of it, the army, to learn. And they were not going to learn under the British and French as an axis or as an allied force. So he kept them totally independent. And you could say this was the start of what made the Americans, they'd come out of isolation and they'd come into the war, so they joined the war very late. And this was a turning point in American history where suddenly they were the leaders. Instead of being isolated, they were leading the world. And he also knew that there was a lot of people in the United States of America who were signing up to fight in the war. Their opinion had suddenly changed from being isolationist to getting away from Europe to suddenly becoming involved. And America's population was massive and when they arrived, it signalled the end of the First World War, basically. They got they had heavy casualties, but they learnt from it very quickly, and now we have, America is the greatest power on earth. Okay, what else do I know? Well, he was married. He married Helen Warren, who was the daughter of a senator, who had a number of daughters, Senator Warren. They had 4 children. Unfortunately, Helen and 3 of the children died in a house fire in 1916, so that was a tough old time for him. Another son was away at school at the time, Warren. It was called Warren Pershing, so he took the name of his wife, Helen Warren, and he survived that tragedy because he was away in school. Interesting, Warren Pershing, the son, fought in the Second World War, but as a private soldier. He didn't want to use his father's name. And Warren actually died in 1980, so pretty recent, really. His father, John Pershing, died in 1948. So that must have been a pretty difficult time for him as well. He died of old age, congestive heart failure. He'd been in a hospital really for 4 years, since 1944, in the Walter Reed Army Hospital Medical Centre. And as you can imagine, he was buried with full military honours. Was the father of the modern US Army, the modern US Armed Forces. So that's why he's particularly loved and admired today. And the Pershing missile is named after him. I think we've all heard of the Pershing missile. Great name, great guy. Good name, that. When you've got a name like that, you should use it. And finally, that unfinally moment, we only with this one, Jack London. It's a 1986 stamp. His real name was John Griffith Cheney. He was born in 1876 and died in 1916. Only 40 years of age when he died in California. He was brought up in abject poverty. His father actually, William Cheney, actually disowned him. His father was an astrologer and denied patronage. He denied that he was his father anyway. So Flora and William Cheney split. Flora then married somebody called London, and Jack took his name, though he was baptised as John Griffith Cheney. He became Jack London. He was a novelist. He was a journalist. He was he's all sorts of things before he became famous. He was an oyster pirate, whatever that was. He was a sailor. He was a gold rush. He went into the gold rush, gold prospector. He was involved in the Klondike Gold Rush in California. He wrote about those times. 2 of his books, fairly well known, Call of the Wild and White Fang. He got married, had 2 daughters, Joan and Betty. They went on to lead, good lives. And as for Jack himself, he died young, aged 40, of kidney failure. Now, there's some doubt as to whether this was self-inflicted or whether it was natural causes. What do we know about the stamp? 86 stamp. It's been cancelled. It's not the clearest of stamps. Again, I suspect this is part of a series. It looks like a drawing to me. So maybe I'll look out for drawings of people on the American stamps. So those are the 3 stamps today. Some interest in it. It shows the stories around that. You can dive a little bit deeply into a stamp and see, well, who were these people? How have they changed the country? He changed the law. He changed military. He wrote about, the gold rush and the effect that had, and it also added to the artistic creativity of the United States. They were again coming out of being isolated. They needed to get away from, getting their art, getting their military, getting their law from other places such as Europe, which their antecedents had all come from, by the way. So these were European, obviously. But they wanted to get away and forge their own path for the United States of America. And America, you could say, remembers them for that. Okay, that's a bit it for now. That's it for now. I hope you're having a fantastic day. And the sun is shining, but it's got a bit colder now. Bit of rain overnight. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.